Hey guys, Chris from 4K Motoring here again with another short list for you guys today. Today I'm going to go over the top 10 things I love about my 2001 Corvette. Alright guys, one of the things I love about my 2001 Corvette is just the value for money that it offers. Bought this Corvette, I think I've mentioned in other videos, for $10,000. It's a 2001 Corvette, had just over 110,000 miles on it, had headers installed, was overall pretty clean, a 3-owner car. Really, for the price that you get, I mean, this LS1 V8 is found everywhere. I mean, it's 350 horsepower. So pretty stout, but there's plenty of mods for it. There's just about everything you do these cars. Lots of different aftermarket companies make stuff for them, but just for $10,000 for the package you get, for the technology that's in this, for the power, the performance, the efficiency, really not a bad deal. So number one thing, just value. Second thing I love about this car is the heads-up display. This is a 20-year-old car here. And it has a heads-up display, which is pretty phenomenal. I'll turn the camera around here to see if you guys can kind of see it there. I'm going to take this around a little bit. Kind of hard to see in the daylight here. Speaking of technology, another feature I really like about my 2001 Corvette is going to be the selective ride control. Not all C5 Corvettes had them. They changed a little bit in how they worked through this generation of Corvette. But you can see right here, there's the selective ride control. Unlike earlier generations of Corvette, it's not just a set it and forget it system. Some of the earlier Corvettes, you'd set basically how you wanted to ride, it would change the damping, and then that would be how it's set for the day, or at least for that drive until you change it. The C5 Corvette actually has sensors on each corner of the vehicle, monitoring the suspension. It has kind of a rudimentary, but for the time it was pretty advanced, a yaw, pitch, roll sensor, so it knows what the vehicle's doing, it knows vehicle angles, it knows your steering inputs, braking, acceleration, that sort of thing, and will actually dial in damping actively according to what the vehicle is doing. So for a 20-year-old vehicle, this is pretty phenomenal. My 2015 Ducati Multistrada has semi-active suspension, the Skyhook suspension, and it's amazing, and it works off a small inertial measurement unit, kind of like you'd find in your cell phones, to handle yaw, pitch, roll. But for 20 years old, I mean, the system is kind of bulky and you know, not quite as streamlined as it is now, but it's amazing what they're able to accomplish, and I love this. It does pretty well for what it is. Another feature that made the C5 Corvette pretty phenomenal, and a reason I love it, is the active handling system. There we go, we got the active handling button. Even has a little picture of a Corvette on it. That is pretty cool. It offers a couple different features. So when the system is engaged, as it is when you start the vehicle, it acts as your traction control and kind of an active brake, limited slip sort of thing. So it uses both the traction cutout and the individual wheel braking system to control the vehicle dynamics to make sure it doesn't get out of control for you. The system is easy to turn off. You press one button and it is completely gone, which is a lot of fun, and a little bit more on that later. But this one also has an additional feature that when you take the button, press and hold it for 5 seconds, you'll see by pressing it, it turns it off, and then it turns it to competitive driving. This was a good feature for Chevrolet, or at least for the Corvette. It's the same system as their normal active handling would be, just like with the full system on, only it removes traction control from the mix. So it doesn't kill your throttle inputs, doesn't kill the engine power, it just offers that active braking system, the independent wheel braking, to keep the vehicle kind of in line with what you're wanting, but still not get in your way to slow you down. Easy on off, easy to switch, really beneficial system, and again, for 20 years old, very phenomenal system. Makes this vehicle drive amazingly. One thing to note that you'll see a lot of people adding power to the C5 Corvette, boosted applications, heads, cams, that sort of thing. Until you drive the vehicle with the traction control off, you don't really realize how much power it does have. So if you're driving around and think it needs more power, if you own one, go ahead and turn that traction control off, give that a drive, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how much more it gives you. Another thing I love about my 2001 Corvette is this exhaust. So you guys can probably hear it. This car has long tube headers. It has a deleted catalytic converter system, so it's just straight pipe back to an X pipe and then to these boiler mufflers. And as you guys can hear, you've seen in other videos, it has a nice throaty growl to it. Really sounds good while you're driving. At the same time, it's pretty quiet and pretty docile when you're cruising on the interstate, low load and low RPM. So pretty good system overall. I love that about this car. One thing that I would be unable to leave off a list like this, I love the pop-up headlights. C5 I know was the last generation of Corvette to have them. Starting with the C6, they kind of went away with that. But there's something about the pop-up headlights, kind of polarizing. Some people love them, some hate them. I love them. They work really well. They look super cool when they're up. When they're down, they really add to that coefficient of drag, and that's what makes this car really slippery through the air and very efficient. So pop-up headlights, super cool. Another thing I love about this car is the usability and the trunk space. I know a lot of sports cars generally aren't known for their ability to carry things. The last little Porsche Boxster I had decent cargo room split between the front and rear trunks, but you couldn't really put any big items in it. This Corvette here has quite a large hatch. Really no problem doing groceries, long trips anywhere with luggage, bigger items. It's got plenty of space for it. And that leads into the point of how efficient this car is. For, again, a car with over 350 horsepower, has 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, does a quarter mile in about 12 seconds. This car gets 30 miles per gallon on the highway. And that's not a claim number that you never reach. I've done road trips on this, and it is absolutely capable of 30 miles per gallon highway, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, if you're driving more spirited, if you have the headlights up, if you have different things going on, that does decrease, but it is absolutely capable of 30 miles per gallon, and that is amazing for this vehicle. And on a related note here, to that efficiency, one of the things I love about this car, and that really makes this car, is this LS1 V8. Those of you that haven't kept up with it a whole lot, this was a pretty revolutionary engine for Chevrolet at the time. They designed it to be stronger, more efficient than any of their previous V8s. Very modular. This engine from Chevrolet, with just the headers, so pretty stock, was just dyno tuned, 20 years old, over 100,000 miles, to have over 340 horsepower to the wheels and over 360 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. So that's not a slouch by any means, especially given what I just said about the 30 miles per gallon. Awesome package, very smooth power, brilliant motor. All right, and probably the best thing I love about my 2001 Corvette is just the way it looks. Look at that car. This has always been a dream of mine to own. It has aged incredibly well. and those 4 oval tail lights just scream Corvette. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel if you liked what you've seen. Leave us a comment with what you'd like to see next. Hopefully there'll be a list of the top things I hate about this Corvette. As you'll find with all old cars, there's always something. So appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more.